That inward mistress part of man, if it be in its own true natural temper, is towards all worldly chances and events ever so disposed and affected, that it will easily turn and apply itself to that which may be, and is within its own power to compass, when that cannot be which at first it intended. For it never doth absolutely adapt it and apply itself to any one object. But whatsoever it is that it doth now intend and prosecute, it doth prosecute it with exception and reservation, so that whatsoever it is that falls out contrary to its first intentions, even that afterwards it makes its proper object, even as the fire when it prevails upon those things that are in his way, by which things indeed a little fire would have been quenched. But a great fire doth soon turn to its own nature, and so consume whatsoever comes in his way. Yea, by those very things it is made greater and greater. Let nothing be done rashly, and at random, but all things according to the most exact and perfect rules of art. They seek for themselves private retiring places, as country villages, the seashore, mountains. Yea, thyself art wont to long much after such places. But all this thou must know proceeds from simplicity in the highest degree. At what time soever thou wilt, it is in thy power to retire into thyself, and to be at rest, and free from all businesses. A man cannot any whither retire better than to his own soul, he especially who is beforehand provided of such things within, which whensoever he doth withdraw himself to look in, may presently afford unto him perfect ease and tranquility. By tranquility, I understand a decent orderly disposition and carriage, free from all confusion and tumultuousness. Afford then thyself this retiring continually, and thereby refresh and renew thyself. Let these precepts be brief and fundamental, which as soon as thou dost call them to mind, may suffice thee to purge thy soul truly, and to send thee away well pleased with those things whatsoever they be, which now again, after this short withdrawing of thy soul into herself, thou dost return unto. For what is it that thou art offended at? Can it be at the wickedness of men, when thou dost call to mind this conclusion, that all reasonable creatures are made one for another, and that it is part of justice to bear with them, and that it is against their wills that they offend? And how many already, who once likewise prosecuted their enmities, suspected, hated, and fiercely contended, are now long ago stretched out, and reduced unto ashes. It is time for thee to make an end. As for those things which among the common chances of the world happen unto thee, as thy particular lot and portion, canst thou be displeased with any of them, when thou dost call that our ordinary dilemma to mind, either a Providence or Democritus his atoms, and with it whatsoever we brought to prove that the whole world is as it were one city? And as for thy body, what canst thou fear, if thou dost consider that thy mind and understanding, when once it hath recollected itself, and knows its own power, hath in this life and breath, whether it runs smoothly and gently, or whether harshly and rudely, no interest at all, but is altogether indifferent, and whatsoever else thou hast heard and assented unto concerning either pain or pleasure. But the care of thine honor and reputation will perchance distract thee. How can that be, if thou dost look back, and consider both how quickly all things that are forgotten, and what an immense chaos of eternity was before, and will follow after all things, and the vanity of praise, and the inconstancy and variableness of human judgments and opinions, and the narrowness of the place wherein it is limited and circumscribed. For the whole earth is but as one point, and of it, this inhabited part of it, is but a very little part, and of this part, how many in number, and what manner of men are they? That will commend thee. What remains then, but that thou often put in practice this kind of retiring of thyself to this little part of thyself, and above all things, keep thyself from distraction, and intend not anything vehemently, but be free, and consider all things as a man whose proper object is virtue, as a man whose true nature is to be kind and sociable, as a citizen, as a mortal creature, among other things, which to consider and look into, thou must use to withdraw thyself. Let those two be among the most obvious and at hand. 1. That the things or objects themselves reach not unto the soul, but stand without still and quiet, and that it is from the opinion only which is within, that all the tumult and all the trouble doth proceed. The next, that all these things, which now thou seest, shall within a very little while be changed, and be no more, and ever call to mind. How many changes and alterations in the world thou thyself hast already been an eyewitness of in thy time. This world is mere change, and this life, opinion. If to understand and to be reasonable be common unto all men, then is that reason for which we are termed reasonable, common unto all. If reason is general, then is that reason also, which prescribeth what is to be done and what not, common unto all. If that, then law. If law, then are we fellow citizens. If so, then are we partners in some one commonweal. If so, then the world is as it were a city, for which other commonweal is it, that all men can be said to be members of. From this common city it is, that understanding, reason, and law is derived unto us. For from whence else? For is that which in me is earthly, I have from some common earth, and that which is moist from some other element is imparted, as my breath and life hath its proper fountain, and that likewise which is dry and fiery in me. For there is nothing which doth not proceed from something, as also there is nothing that can be reduced unto mere nothing. So also is there some common beginning from whence my understanding hath proceeded. As generation is, so also death, a secret of nature's wisdom, a mixture of elements resolved into the same elements again, a thing surely which no man ought to be ashamed of, in a series of other fatal events and consequences which a rational creature is subject unto, not improper or incongruous, nor contrary to the natural and proper constitution of man himself. Such and such things from such and such causes must of necessity proceed. He that would not have such things to happen is as he that would have the fig tree grow without any sap or moisture. In sum, remember this, that within a very little while both thou and he shall both be dead, and after a little while more, not so much as your names and memories shall be remaining. Let opinion be taken away, and no man will think himself wronged. If no man shall think himself wronged, then is there no more any such thing as wrong. That which makes not man himself the worse cannot make his life the worse. Neither can it hurt him either inwardly or outwardly. It was expedient in nature that it should be so, and therefore necessary. Whatsoever doth happen in the world doth happen justly. And so, if thou dost well take heed, thou shalt find it. I say not only in right order by a series of inevitable consequences, but according to justice, and as it were by way of equal distribution, according to the true worth of everything. Continue then to take notice of it, as thou hast begun, and whatsoever thou dost, do it not without this proviso, that it be a thing of that nature that a good man, as the word good is properly taken, may do it. This observe carefully in every action. Conceit no such things, as he that wrongeth thee conceiveth, or would have thee to conceive, but look into the matter itself, and see what it is in very truth. These two rules thou must have always in a readiness. First, do nothing at all, but what reason proceeding from that regal and supreme part shall for the good and benefit of men suggest unto thee. And secondly, if any man that is present shall be able to rectify thee, or to turn thee from some erroneous persuasion, that thou be always ready to change thy mind, and this change to proceed, not from any respect of any pleasure or credit thereon depending, but always from some probable apparent ground of justice, or of some public good thereby to be furthered, or from some other such inducement. Hast thou reason? I have. Why then makest thou not use of it? For if thy reason do her part, what more canst thou require? As a part hitherto, thou hast had a particular subsistence, and now shalt thou vanish away into the common substance of him who first begot thee, or rather, thou shalt be resumed again into that original rational substance, out of which all others have issued and are propagated. Many small pieces of frankincense are set upon the same altar, One drops first and is consumed, another after, and it comes all to one. Within 10 days, if so happen, thou shalt be esteemed a god of them, who now if thou shalt return to the dogmata, and to the honoring of reason, will esteem of thee no better than of a mere brute, and of an ape. Not as though thou hadst thousands of years to live, death hangs over thee, whilst yet thou livest, whilst thou mayest be good. Now much time and leisure doth he gain, who is not curious to know what his neighbor hath said, or hath done, or hath attempted, but only what he doth himself, that it may be just and holy, or to express it in agathos words, not to look about upon the evil conditions of others, but to run on straight in the line, without any loose and extravagant agitation. He who is greedy of credit and reputation after his death doth not consider that they themselves, by whom he is remembered, shall soon after every one of them be dead, and they likewise that succeed those, until at last all memory, which hitherto by the succession of men admiring and soon after dying hath had its course, be quite extinct. But suppose that both they that shall remember thee, and thy memory with them should be immortal. What is that to thee? I will not say to thee after thou art dead, but even to thee living, what is thy praise? But only for a secret and politic consideration, which we call jus shomal, or dispensation. For as for that it is the gift of nature, whatsoever is commended in thee, what might be objected from thence? Let that now that we are upon another consideration be omitted as unseasonable, that which is fair and goodly, whatsoever it be, and in what respect soever it be, that it is fair and goodly, it is so of itself, and terminates in itself, not admitting praise as a part or member, that therefore which is praised is not thereby made either better or worse. This I understand even of those things that are commonly called fair and good, as those which are commended, either for the matter itself, or for curious workmanship. As for that which is truly good, what can it stand in need of more than either justice or truth, or more than either kindness and modesty? Which of all those either becomes good or fair because commended, or dispraised suffers any damage? Doth the emerald become worse in itself, or more vile if it be not commended? Doth gold, or ivory, or purple? Is there anything that doth though never so common as a knife, a flower, or a tree? If so be that the souls remain after death, say they that will not believe it, how is the air from all eternity able to contain them? How is the earth ever from that time able to contain the bodies of them that are buried? For is here the change and resolution of dead bodies into another kind of subsistence, whatsoever it be, makes place for other dead bodies. So the souls after death, transferred into the air, after they have conversed there a while, are either by way of transmutation, or transfusion, or conflagration, received again into that original rational substance, from which all others do proceed, and so give way to those souls, who before coupled and associated unto bodies, now begin to subsist single. This, upon a supposition that the souls after death do for a while subsist single, may be answered. And here, besides the number of bodies so buried and contained by the earth, we may further consider the number of several beasts, eaten by us men, and by other creatures. For notwithstanding that such a multitude of them is daily consumed, and as it were buried in the bodies of the eaters, yet is the same place and body able to contain them, by reason of their conversion, partly into blood, partly into air and fire. What in these things is the speculation of truth? To divide things into that which is passive and material, and that which is active and formal, not to wander out of the way, but upon every motion and desire, to perform that which is just, and ever to be careful to attain to the true natural apprehension of every fancy that presents itself. Whatsoever is expedient unto thee, O world, is expedient unto me. Nothing can either be unseasonable unto me, or out of date, which unto thee is seasonable. Whatsoever thy seasons bear, shall ever by me be esteemed as happy fruit, and increase, O nature. From thee are all things, in thee all things subsist, and to thee all tend. Could he say of Athens, "Thou lovely city of Cecrops"? And shalt not thou say of the world, "Thou lovely city of God"?